Hello, good morning or afternoon, Stone Seekers. It is Loco here with Bear. How you doing, Bear?
I am doing well, thank you. Glad to hear that you're good. We are here at the Wonders booth um, at the National. We got Ramel behind us. Hello there. As well as all kinds of other exciting characters. We got Brian Tinsman playing a very formidable 12-year-old that I just lost the game to. Um, yes, we are jam packed and ready for an incredible time here at the National. It's been great so far, and I just can't wait to see what's next.
Oh man, I love it. I'm glad you're here. No longer across the pond. You're on the mainland with us.
No, sir. Yes,
Yeah, it's great that you're now. Who's there? Who's there beside you right now?
of course. Well, we have a certain Joe Doug.
How you doing, Joe?
Says, "How are you doing?"
Doing pretty good. It's starting to get really busy here.
All right.
A lot of people are asking about Bo Jackson. A lot of people asking about Wonders.
He said he's doing great here. Lots to do. A lot of people asking about Wonders. A lot of people asking about Bo Jackson. We are, yeah, we're locking in.
Nice. I love the American to English translation that's happening right now between you two. So well done, gentlemen. Well done. All right. Well, so tell us a little bit about the National, not to be confused with Nationals, right? The National.
Yeah, exactly.
What's it like there? I mean, you showed us a little bit. Is it meeting your
Yeah,
expectations?
absolutely.
Give us a little rundown.
So there are a ton of collectors here. That's primarily what it's all about. It has historically been predominantly sports card collectors, but I feel like, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, it's become a place for all kinds of card collecting too. So whether that be fantasy, and we're hitting that mark specifically here. There are all kinds of people around. A bunch of people who love sports, a bunch of nerds like us, and it's just been a brilliant time so far. Yeah.
Nice. What's your take on it, Joe? Have you been to the National before, or is this your first time?
He said, "What's your take on it? Have you been to the National before, and is this your first time?"
This is the first time I've been to any kind of nerd convention.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that I find that unbelievable. What are your thoughts then? What do you think of it?
So what are your thoughts? What do you think of it?
That's awesome. Why did I wait so long to come to one? It's so much fun.
Yeah, I wish I was there. Those little conventions are a blast for sure. All right, now let's talk a little bit about what's with Wonders. So I heard that there's an actual tournament at National, correct?
Yes, and that will be starting tomorrow at midday, 12 p.m.
And how's the sign up so far?
It's going really well. We are almost fully padded out. And we actually just today had a father and son sign up. And the son is really a truly formidable opponent. I alluded to it earlier. This kid's 12 years old, absolutely kicked my butt. So I look forward to seeing what he can put together tomorrow for the tournament.
Nice. Now, are they using those playtest decks? What are they using?
Exactly. Print and play decks only. These guys right here. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm excited to see that. Now, Joe helped out with our tournament last week. Can Joe give us a little rundown maybe of his background himself, what he kind of does with Wonders, and then his thoughts on that Radish tournament that wrapped up last week?
Sure. Joe, they ask, what's your experience been with Wonders so far? What's your involvement with TCG in the past? And give us a breakdown on the Radish tournament that wrapped up last week.
Yeah, so I started playing Magic in 1994. It's like when Unlimited came out. And I played it for a while until I got to college, quit playing, started playing again a little bit, quit playing, got back into it. I also play a lot of other games like Warhammer and whatnot. I still play Warhammer. And I also am a Magic judge. So I actually judge. So the day after the Wonders tournament, I judged an RCQ for Magic. So, I like judging Wonders better. The weird thing about Magic is the players in Magic know more than the judges almost always. just because the serious tournament players in Magic have been, it's just crazy what the knowledge level they have is. So usually when they ask you a question, they already know the answer. And about 4 or 5 of them will correct you if you don't know the right answer. So with Wonders, I feel like I know the rules pretty well, and it's kind of nice to be a resource versus just being there to hold people's hands. So it's a lot more fun with the Wonders. So, my take on the tournament, there's a lot of good feedback. One thing we realized is, like, as far as the game, it's starting to look a lot more like the gameplay is better with best of one. A lot of the players, they don't want to play, 3 rounds in a row all day long. But it did sound like everybody did want to see best of 3 in the finals. So, I don't know what the future is going to be. If that means, like, top 2 do best of 3 or top 4 or top 8. It's going to depend on a lot of things. But also, Brian was real. He was on that tournament too. He came at the very end, and he was talking about it today too. And one of the things that we have to come up with is, what do you do if you have a timed round and the round ends? Like, how do you decide who wins? And it's really hard because you think about, like, Boundless in this game. You're supposed to get 7 rounds. Well, if time goes short and somebody's playing Boundless, none of their stuff ascended. So, like, how can you be fair and be like, oh, you lose because you had less stones? So that's something that I don't know the answer to right now, but we're talking about it right now. Like, hey, we got to figure out what are we going to have in place for if something goes time. I think that when you go to a really competitive setting, in my experience, chess blocks are going to work really good for if somebody's stalling. So if somebody's stalling, we're going to be able to probably use the clock to speed the game up. But I think we're going to have to probably have games are going to have to be finished. So what I can kind of see happen, this is my idea that I'm spitballing. Nobody's agreed to it. But what I think is going to happen is people who know how to play are playing the game. We won't have to time them. But if somebody's stalling, they'll call up our judge and start timing. You only have so many seconds to get the game done. Because I just don't see how you can call a game early. I don't think you're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm on board with you there, especially if you're playing a strategy such as Boundless, where you really want to get to that round 7. So Joe, you talked a little bit about judging for Magic the Gathering. So do you have any tips from the judges side of, like, player to judge etiquette? Like, if I'm a player, what do you like to see? How do you like to see my interactions with the judge?
Do you have any tips from player to judge etiquette, and what kind of interactions would you like to see with the judges?
Yeah, so the best tip I can give is to, first of all, usually a lot of people don't realize this, but, like, the judges aren't supposed to watch every game. So now when we get down to, like, semifinals and finals, the judges usually do watch because there's less games going on. But when you have a bunch of games going on, it's not fair for a judge to get involved and watch some games and not others. It's not fair. So really the first rule is try to figure it out with your opponent and not even have to call a judge. That's always, like, the best way to handle it. Now, if both people don't know the rule, or if there's a disagreement on the rule, or that's when you call a judge over to get clarification. So that's rule number 1. But also, as far as, like, etiquette, the biggest thing is just be respectful, but also to understand. A lot of people don't know this, but the number 1 role of a judge in a tournament is not to always be right. It's to get the tournament moving forward and not be stalled. So sometimes the judge has to use the information they have to make the best decision they can to be fair as possible. So ideally, yes, you want your judges to be right all the time, but sometimes they're not. But the thing is, you'd rather have a judge move the tournament along and take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get the best answer possible than to spend 2 hours and have nobody playing for 2 hours. So you have to understand that the priority in a tournament is everybody's time, and sometimes mistakes will be made. You just have to accept it, be respectful, and move on.
Well said.
Thanks for that, Joe. And are you helping with judging the tournament tomorrow as well?
Are you helping to judge the tournament tomorrow?
Yes, if I am judging it. I assume I will be one of them, but I will definitely be leveraging off the design team because you always got to take advantage of all the resources you got. So, like, if there's any controversial calls or thing, we'll definitely huddle up and try to get the best calls we can. Looking forward to it. It's gonna be really exciting. I would say the kid that beat Bear. That's what I'll put my money on. So whoever's taking the bets, I don't know what the odds are. We'll put them on him.
What orbital? What deck was he using? What was his
Which
deck?
Orbital was using? He was using the Dragon deck, Dragon Dynasty.
Yeah, Dragon Dynasties. That was my first go-to, and I play a lot with my middle school students, and yeah, those 12-year-olds will wreak havoc on you. So let's talk a little more. Bracket of Triumph. We haven't really highlighted this much, but Jin the Magician with the win last week, and right now,
Jan.
Some people were surprised. I mean, he's a magician. What are you supposed to say, right? This week, though, is it Aethrin Lightbringer and Astrox Final? Did I pronounce that correctly?
Exactly. Yes, Aethrin, Lightbringer, and Astrox Final. When asked the question who has a better chance, I think Aethrin is a really cool, well balanced art style. I think he's an incredibly strong wonder too. However, I don't know, man. Personally, Astrox just has this kind of charm that I have not seen it's just like a very unique charm to Astrox Final. So big fan for sure. And my money's on Astrox.
I mean, it's the final.
I would put the house on it.
Name. Yeah. Is he like a cyborg gunslinger or something? Like, how would you describe Astrox? Like, what is he exactly?
Yeah, in my eyes, he's a kind of I imagine like hot air blowing through the saloon doors. He kicks them open with a single shot of his foot. They swing back and forth. He comes in and says, "I'll have the strongest motor oil you have." Bangs it down on the table. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's where mine is as well. I agree. Astrox. All right. So, which brings us. Go ahead. What's up?
Hi there. Someone is currently trying to buy some product while I'm sat at the show. There's a iPad right there while I process the payment.
Yeah, do it. I'll talk. You do you, because that's what we want. We want you guys to get wonders in their hands.
Absolutely. And Slappy has suggested that while he's here, perhaps we even get him on the show to discuss his thoughts about interfacing with the product for the first time. First time? Yeah, absolutely. It is. I mean, first of all, I should ask you, are you comfortable being on this show with us?
I am comfortable.
Fantastic. Well, what's your name? I'm Doug. Doug, good to meet you, Doug.
Nice to meet you.
All right, Doug. So is this your first time interfacing with the brand here?
It's everything. I'm buying for my sons. I want to come back and impress my sons that their old man can come and say, "Look at this new game out here. You thought I was just buying sports cards, and I'm coming back going, look at this. This is the newest game. Have at it."
That's right. Absolutely. Well, awesome. Which product are you buying today?
The beginner $35.
For sure. All right. So, yeah. He's going to be getting the pro today. So I think perhaps we should have someone else operate this during the. I mean, that's cool, but we're also doing a live show.
A live show. People love seeing people
yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess I'm going to process this payment while we're on the show.
Can you tell us a little bit about last year? So what luck you had?
Yes. Would you tell us what happened last year for you at Nationals? At the Nationals.
I wish I could tell you what game I bought in Chicago. It was 3 years ago. It was a card set, and I don't know, one of my sons, I kept it in my drawer forever and gave it to my son, and he goes, "Wow, where'd you get that?" I go, "Nationals in Chicago 4 years ago." He goes, "Man, I love this game." I apologize, I can't give a shout out to what the game was. I just said, here, they were giving away free packs of cards.
So we're hoping that your luck continues. And the biggest game
you know what? They're going to have fun playing it and figuring it out. And I'll be like, there you
Absolutely. Go. We're going to get back to the show now. Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you.
It's happening. Absolutely. Thank you. Here's this iPad. If you wouldn't mind filling out the details there. And also if we can get someone to get the inventory, please, for everything that's needed inside. And we'll put it in this little box here. Make sure he gets the stones, the 3 packs, the playmat, and all the literature and stickers as well. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you. As a matter of fact, there you go. Cool. I've been giving out some of these recently while at the show. So if you're, of course, if you're here at the National, you're going to be getting some of these little
Let's go.
autographs.
Love it. Hey, well done. I think that was fun to see. Watching people, I mean, watching people come through, right? That's the purpose. You guys are like in the secret room, right? People come find you,
Yes.
and then they're like, wait a minute. Now, the question is that the 12-year-old's dad who's going to sweep the tournament? Do you know?
No, this
Okay.
is a chap that has just shown up, never seen him before. This is his first time interfacing with the brand and already seems really interested and engaged. And I think everyone here is doing a great job making sure that happens.
I love it. All right,
Sure.
back to our show. We were talking a little bit about Astrock's final, and he is from he's from Heliosynth, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And I see you have quite a fancy hat on, Heliosynthesized, and that was an announcement dropped in our Discord about a comic, Shockum Comics.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your
Indeed.
reaction to that announcement?
Yeah, totally. So, of course, this is the brainchild of Alpha Trilogy, which, for those of us who know, is a very big collector within the Wonders ecosystem. This guy has been super supportive, and just been a great part of building our brand and supporting us through and through as well. So this is to do with some of the IP that he's been creating, because I believe he owns Emma Shockbite amongst some other big Heliosynth fan, and as a result, we are I mean, this is one of his products, and we're going to be seeing more in the future too.
Yeah, he's definitely dropped a little bit of teaser tidbits. So he said the logo there is helium, lithium, oxygen, right? To spell out helio.
Yeah, exactly.
And he says those numbers combine to make 238, the atomic numbers. And he said 238 is an important number in his world, and he also said it's an important card number in the game. So I'm curious as to what card number that might. That's what he's alluding to. I don't know. I find it hilarious. I mean, I don't know if you can say anything, but it'd be funny if it was like a Sulfera card or something. I don't know what he knows, but
you know what I will say is that's a very interesting observation.
All right, we'll leave it at that.
That's all I will say on the matter.
I'm looking forward to following that to see where he winds up. I watched their YouTube video. You can just search YouTube Shockum Comics, and it's their origin story video, and it's more of the origin story of the comic company itself rather than like the origin of Emma Shockbite. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Definitely. I look forward to seeing what they continue to create. Talented team, and let's see what they do.
Yeah, and this is, I think, is the first real big part of that shared IP, right? This is the first project I've seen that's really kind of taken to light from the brainstorm session.
The first really significant big step we've seen in IP. For sure.
Yeah, that's really cool. So speaking of Emma Fixum Shockbite, she'll be our card of the week. Stay with this Heliosynth theme. Next week they have to people have to make sure their backer kit servers are filled out. We won't get to every orbital by next week, by the 31st, but if you're curious what Heliosynth has to offer, well, Emma Fixum Shockbite is a card from Heliosynth. She's not in the starter. I didn't see her in the list, but she is in Heliosynth. And here's what she does. She costs 5 energy, 6 power. She says all your items have attuned. Whenever an equipped wonder you control attacks, it gains +2 this round. So to me, Heliosynth is all about attuned equipment. We'll talk a little bit about Faith, but a lot of times you can play cards for free in Heliosynth. A lot of times you want to equip big weapons that do things to Heliosynth as well. So you want to tell us a little bit your thoughts on Emma and maybe the Heliosynth play?
Absolutely. I think Emma Shockbite specifically is an incredible card for use of items, a ton of utility, and opens up a lot of doors, firstly for this design space, of course, but also opens up the design space for future item-heavy releases too. You know, let's say two sets from now, we decide that actually we need to include more items and go heavier on items. By having a card like Emma, we open up a ton of design space. I think she's going to be a very interesting card for the future of this game, for sure.
Yeah, and the cool thing about Emma is if you look behind Bear, she's actually right there on the poster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right there. There's Brian.
There
next
we
to
go.
Emma. Yeah, and she's on a lot of the art for the booster box as well. So she's all over the place. So it's definitely a card I want to have in my collection, just for that reason, and then so I could follow her in the comics as well.
Absolutely.
All right.
Awesome.
Heliosynth. So if you talk about Heliosynth, I think it's so cool. It's like this yellowish, blackish planet with this giant like belt of technology orbiting it, kind of like Saturn. Techno-theology and individualism. One of their main mechanics is faith. So it's like these robots or cyborgs that have this faith, and faith is another resource you can tap into and use to do different abilities or different things in the game. So what are your thoughts on the faith mechanic, or this idea of this technological world, but you got this like religion side of it as well? It just seems kind of interesting.
For sure. I feel like there is no better person to answer that question than Chris Kish, who happens to be right here. Kish, do you have a minute? Okay. In a minute, he will have a minute. So
we can come back to that. That's fine.
So, certainly. I mean, the theme of theology and close-knit community within Heliosynth, I think that's a really interesting thing from a lore perspective. You know, especially as we learn more and more about what it is that binds these Heliosynthians. It's fantastic. As for faith, you know, not just from the perspective of ideology, but also from a game design perspective, you know, faith almost kind of strikes me as this mechanic where like you simply have to have faith, and that's in more ways than one. But having faith that, as long as you count those faith points up and then cash them in at the end of the game, you'll be able to make a significant difference that will sweep the game for you. You know,
yeah,
win.
and as an opponent to faith, that's another thing I have to kind of track myself and see is he going to use these faith counters to increase some power? Is he going to use faith counters to create more wonders? I mean, there was a card early on that said when you have 100 faith, you win the game. So I'm curious, you know, if that's going to exist later on or not. So definitely interesting to see. All right. Well, you kind of lagged on me here. We'll see if you come back. Oh, there he is. All right. Sorry, you're a little choppy there. Yeah, so I like that. I like the faith thing. To me, Heliosynth, when I look at like the factions, it reminds me a lot. I really enjoy the book series Dark Tower by Stephen King. And it's like this Western with robots, a little bit of Dune and Star Wars. There's an RPG I played called Deadlands as well, and it's just this wild thing. Like you got the Barboni gang, and you got like all the robots, and it's just such a cool place to me.
Totally, I completely agree. And also, as more of the lore comes out and we explore the world together, I look forward to seeing more and more of these stories come to light for you guys, so you can see really what we've been working on over the last 3 years.
Nice. All right, so we're going to move to a couple questions before we get to some strategy, Bear. And so Todd asked here, he just wants to know, how has the reception at the National been, specifically, I imagine, towards Wonders? How has the reception been at National?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think to an extent, we're pleasantly surprised. That being, you know, we didn't expect to have a lot of players here, but certainly a lot of collectors. And we have found that there have been a number of collectors who are super interested in the collectability aspect of the game, whether or not they're even players. You know, we have to consider that the National is a collectors convention, and all the while, it almost seems like we have been able to convert pure collectors into collector players, and that's been a really reassuring step. That this game is not something that just appeals to the player, but also very much, you know, transcends that. And, you know, we're able to appeal to collectors too. Pure collectors, which we, you know, didn't necessarily expect. Perhaps collector players, but pure collectors, very good reception. We have Kish with us here, the infamous Chris Kish, creative director for Wonders. You had a question about Heliosynth. Would you mind running that back?
Yeah, so we're just trying to give the people, ideas on the different orbitals, especially because they want to pick, a star or something. So just what's your take on Heliosynth? It's such a wild place to me to think of this technology and this theology and this kind of binding of this I don't know, just the technical side with the religion is kind of wild to me. So
For sure.
just your overall take.
So he said, what's your take on Heliosynth, especially given that it is the faith bound with a technology? So he says, what's your take on Heliosynth, especially given the fact that it's a kind of a technological world bound with its faith and theology as well?
What's my take on it?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was really interesting to juxtapose theology and the idea that, like, a lot of people think AI machines, they're soulless, they don't, they don't have a God. And I thought it would be very interesting to juxtapose technology with theology, and to really think like, okay, well, what does it actually mean for machines to have faith, and what does it mean for them to chase perfection through the augmentation of biology? And like, it opened up such rich territory in my head. I just think it's I've never seen anything close to it in any other sci-fi fantasy universe, and so that's why it's not my favorite because I made it, but it's my favorite because I think it actually has the space for some of the richest lore.
Yeah, I love to hear that. That's where my brain is too. I was immediately drawn to that, reading it with just that whole idea seems like conflicting, and I love how you're going to bridge it together. I'm excited to see where that winds up.
He said he's excited to see the way that we bridge it together, and he's also a huge fan.
So happy you guys like it.
Awesome.
So I'm getting boxes and stuff. It's been wild here, guys. It's so
Love
good
it.
to see you.
We're for sure. We're talking with our mouths, thinking with our brains, operating foot pedals under the table. Doing origami swans all at the same time. So
yeah, I'm
please
so
excuse
glad.
the sort of chaos.
I'm so glad you're at the booth. I know originally we thought something else. I'm so glad you're there because I guess this is feeding me as well. I get to kind of fuel in there. So we have another question here. We'll get to Todd's in a second, but first, Kobe Laker is asking, are you guys providing info to the people at National when these should hit retailers?
Again, my understanding is it's going to be a pretty similar time. I'm not sure we have an exact date for retailers, but it's going to be a very similar time to the time that we expect to get it to customers too. Again, like, I think it would be dangerous for me to suggest that there is to say, oh, it's going to be between these two dates. My understanding is it'll be close to the general public release for sure.
Nice. Now, here's a question I have then, kind of piggybacking. Are there actual retailers there then who come to the booth looking to put it in their shops?
Yes, absolutely. So we got one of these, which is a sheet for the people who want to buy this stuff personally, and then we also have a retailer sheet, so the retailers can take it home, and of course, cut a good deal for their shops and all that kind of stuff. So yes, plenty of retailers who are coming through here and asking loads of questions. That's exactly what we like to see. There's a real vested interest across the board.
Nice. One more question, then we'll get to some strategy. I don't know if you'll have an answer, but maybe someone there would. So Todd's asking, when these cards come out, will PSA be able to grade them right away? And I'll add on to that. If not, do you know if there's other grading companies that are on board?
Sure. Again, I'm not sure quite how much I'm allowed to release right now. In terms of when the cards come out, will we have a body that grades the cards for us? I can speak with almost absolute certainty to say yes. As for which company we go with, I think that's still a contentious topic. But perhaps it's okay for me to say we've had offers from some rather prestigious companies, some of which we have felt are more aligned than others. let's see what happens. But the moment that it feels suitable to share with the community, you best believe we're going to share it with you guys. Yes. And to be clear, the reason that I tend to be a little mysterious sometimes on these calls is just because I don't want to give you guys the wrong information. I think it's much better to give you cold, hard facts that are unchanging and solid, right? So please, thank you. I'm sure you enjoy the mystery, but know that it's not because I want to keep anything from you guys.
No, we appreciate that, Bear. I'm just gonna put up Kobe's here. Nice, that's good. Yeah, everything we're saying today, I feel, is nice and good. All right, so speaking of nice and good, do you have a weekly strategy tip for us? And maybe if there's people there listening that are in the tournament, maybe they could get some inside track from you.
Yeah, totally. It's going to be kind of off the back of the thing that I said last week. A really important, just given that we're going into tournament again, I feel like this is going to be a particularly helpful thing to hear. We're going to talk about limit testing and regime. So let's start with limit testing. What I mean by that is, as we discussed with Wicked last week, winning is not always the most important thing. In fact, I think limit testing was something that was maybe coined in League of Legends, if not a different game. But it's the idea that in order to truly understand how powerful or how weak or what the extent of your champion that you've chosen is, or the character, right? You would effectively take risks to test the limit of that particular character. And so I think the same can be said for cards as well. You know, you should want to, if you want to be a great player, I would suggest testing the limits of every card. You know, what's possible, what works with each other. You know, what's the what is the oh my goodness, what is the limit of this spell? Which card does it work with? Which one doesn't it work with? And just continuing to test the limits of each card to really figure out, like, and that's again to say, if you have a good partner to test with, losses are a good thing as long as you are constantly testing the limits of those cards. So that's one. And then the second point that I made was regime. So having a good way to practice. We talk a lot about sort of like the pragmatic side of that. It's like, okay, should I be practicing twice or 3 times a day? Should I be practicing a wide breadth of orbitals? And yes, both of those things are true. The things we also don't talk about are like, am I eating 3 good meals a day? Am I staying hydrated? Am I moving my body? Like, am I going to the gym, right? And I think those are things that are also overlooked when it comes to training regime, and it's a very important consideration in my eyes. So, you know, take care of this, because that's the thing that's going to win you the games. And you can practice endlessly, but I feel like the more that just a kind of a reminder, I think, to take care of your physical health as well. Sure.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, I used to be a fan. I watched some esports there for a few years, and yeah, those guys had workouts, diets, everything, right?
Yeah,
and they're
for sure.
absolutely sitting at a computer. So that's a great tip. So there's a regime. Make sure you have your schedule, take care of your body, take care of your mind, and then test those limits, right? Test the limits of those cards.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yes, especially in scenarios where you wouldn't think to do so. Yes, I would say that if something seems like counterintuitive or it doesn't make sense, if you're practicing with a partner, try it anyway, because you might just find something that you hadn't considered, that you had been blindsided to before.
I love that.
Yes, I think there is merit in the thing.
Love it. Thanks for that, Bear. All right. Well, I think we got all our questions answered. Thanks for that strategy. We talked Heliosynth a little bit. You're at the National. I heard today and tomorrow is going to be busy. We got to see the action.
Yes.
Hopefully you guys keep posting some photos in Discord. Love to track the tournament. Maybe follow that 12-year-old, see where he winds up. Who knows? Is this a single elimination then, just through the bracket? Is that what you guys are doing?
Yes, it's going to be single elimination, and then depending on how much time we have, the last game may be a best of 3. Although We're just gonna have to play it by ear. We're gonna be posting a reel today. By the way, lots of content going to be coming through the next few days. Of course, as director of media here, like I've got a number of plans for the content that we'll be releasing. I'm just going to share this with you guys as something that I think you might like to see. Can you see my screen here? There we go.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. We asked people around here what kind of sound would each of these three dragons make, and I'll show you the dragons after this video. But this video will be posted soon, and you guys are going to get a little first look at this. Here goes. There we go.
Oh man, looking forward to seeing that's hilarious seeing those faces on there. So awesome. That looks like
did you get the sound through there by any chance?
I couldn't hear it, but you know, that's an awesome tease. But that's coming, right? That's coming today.
Yes, absolutely. That will be coming in the next half an hour after this show. You guys will see it live on the Wonders Instagram and across all socials.
That's perfect. So are you having lots of fun, Bear? We saw you working really hard. Are you having fun too?
Yes, absolutely. Always plenty of time for fun. And yes, it's been grueling. And we're doing our best to serve our community and build it. And but sure, of course, there has to be fun had along the way.
Oh yeah, I love it. I see Joe back there. So make sure you pass our thanks to Joe.
I will, of course.
Thank you as well, Bear, taking the time to talk with us. Yes. So there's some things on our list, though, for those watching.
Sure.
Your backer kit, July 31st, is the due date. That is only 5 days from now. So before our next show, like, you have better filled out that survey. Last I had heard, there was still about 20% of people who had not completed their backer kit survey. That's how you're going to get Wonders in your hands, correct?
Exactly. Yes, right. It's a very important survey, and you should fill it out as soon as you can, for sure.
The next thing, order those playtest kits. I actually ordered some mats for my buddies. They say like playtest team, so order those playtest kits, and don't forget, you could also add on that Existence booster box. It's not first edition, but you'll get it early, and you get a free first edition mini box with it. So that's quite a value there. There it is. Yep, quite a value. Yep. And then don't forget to vote on those Wonders on social media.
Of course.
Facebook, X, Instagram. It looks like we're going to get a nice reel today on the Instagram as well with some dragon sounds, right? All right.
Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you, Bear. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I enjoy our time together. Thank you, those who are watching. And remember, keep seeking the wonders in life.